The Karbala Gap is a narrow corridor of land between the Euphrates River and Lake Razaza, and for centuries it has been one of the most important gateways leading toward Baghdad. Armies and traders alike have crossed through this passage, making it both a natural route of conquest and a lifeline for the region. The nearby city of Karbala holds deep religious significance for Shia Islam, which only adds to the strategic and symbolic weight of the area. In the 20th century, the Karbala Gap once again gained importance. During the long Iran-Iraq War of the 1980s, the corridor was heavily defended against the possibility of an Iranian push toward Baghdad. By the time of the U.S. invasion in 2003, it stood as Iraq's last major natural defense line, guarded by the Republican Guard and fortified as the final shield protecting the capital. Because of this long history, the Karbala Gap is remembered not only as a critical battlefield of the Iraq War, but also as a historic crossroads where religion, strategy, and conflict have come together for centuries. As coalition forces advanced north in March 2003, commanders understood that the Karbala Gap would be the decisive point of the entire campaign. It was the bottleneck every armored column had to pass through, and Iraqi defenses were arranged specifically to make that passage as costly as possible. Elements of the Medina Division, paramilitary Fedayeen forces, and local militia fighters dug in along likely approach routes, preparing ambush points and anti-armor positions. The terrain offered them a natural advantage: open desert that funneled attackers into predictable lanes, limiting maneuver and forcing any assault to fight head-on. Early attempts to probe these defenses revealed how dangerous the corridor would be. On March 24th, the U.S. launched a deep strike helicopter raid intended to cripple Republican Guard positions before the main ground force arrived. Instead, Apache gunships were met with far more small arms and RPG fire than expected. Almost every aircraft was hit. One was shot down.
Flew into the target area. They came under heavy anti-aircraft fire, both from military emplacements.
The raid failed tactically, but it exposed the density of Iraqi defenses and convinced U.S. commanders that breaking the gap would require a full-scale combined arms push. That assault came just days later. As a massive sandstorm began to clear, the U.S. Army's 3rd Infantry Division surged forward with Abrams tanks, Bradley IFVs, artillery support, and relentless air cover. Iraqi resistance was fierce in pockets, especially around prepared strongpoints, but disorganized elsewhere. Many units had already been weakened by weeks of strikes or lacked coordination under the collapsing chain of command. Once the American armored spearhead gained momentum, it smashed through the defensive line with speed, firepower, and overwhelming maneuver. By April 2nd, the Karbala Gap had effectively fallen. The long-feared natural barrier that had guarded Baghdad for generations, against Persians, against regional rivals, and finally against coalition forces, was breached in a matter of hours. With the gap open, the road to the capital lay exposed. What followed were the famous thunder runs into Baghdad, marking the rapid collapse of Saddam Hussein's regime. Today, the Karbala Gap is remembered not only as the final gateway to Baghdad, but as the symbolic moment when Iraq's last defensive shield gave way. Its history as a strategic corridor, a religious heartland, and a battlefield converged once again in 2003, reaffirming its place as one of the most important and contested routes in the Middle East.
A very cool production. A very cool production.